She rolled up in her shiny white Tesla like she owned the street. Didn't even look at me, just dragged the cord across my yard and plugged it into my solar grid. I stepped out from my porch and said, "That's private property." She didn't even blink, just smirked and tapped her phone like she was setting a timer. "You're part of the HOA now," she said. "This belongs to the community." My fists clenched, but I kept calm. She really thought my solar panels, the ones I had spent years installing myself, were free fuel for her car? I asked her to unplug, and she laughed out loud. "Try and stop me. The HOA will fine you for even touching me." That's when something inside me shifted. She thought I was just another neighbor she could bully. She didn't know the system was wired with regulators I built myself, and one little setting could make her perfect plan crash right in front of her. For now, I stayed silent, but I was already deciding how to play this game. The next morning, I watched from behind the curtain as she strutted over again, phone in hand, like she was walking onto her own driveway. She didn't even glance at me this time, just jammed the plug into her Tesla like she had a personal right to it. I walked out slowly, coffee mug in hand, and said, "Karen, you're trespassing." She snapped her head at me and hissed, "If you don't like it, call the HOA." I am the HOA. My stomach turned, but I forced a calm smile. "Funny," I said, "because I called the city yesterday. They told me no association even exists here." For a split second, her face froze. Then she barked back, "That's none of your business. Just stay quiet if you know what's good for you." She had no idea the city official had already confirmed the panels were mine, my property, my grid, and what she was doing was theft. But instead of confronting her, I walked back inside, pretending to give up. I let her think she'd won, while my fingers tapped the control panel near the kitchen window. She didn't notice when the faint hum from the inverter changed pitch. All I had to do was wait and watch. She leaned against her car, scrolling on her phone, acting like she owned the world, while my grid juiced up her Tesla. But then, a faint crackle hissed through the cable, barely noticeable at first. Her eyes flicked toward the charging port, confusion washing over her smug grin. "What's wrong with this thing?" she muttered, tugging at the cord. The lights on her dashboard flickered, stuttered, then glowed bright red. I stepped onto the porch, sipping my coffee slow. "Problem with your car, Karen?" I asked. She whipped her head toward me, eyes wide, then tried to cover it with attitude. You better stop whatever you're doing! This is HOA property now!" I let out a short laugh. "Funny thing, Karen, I built that grid myself. Custom regulators, custom output. It only runs safe when I set it safe." She yanked the cord, but it wouldn't release. Her own impatience locked it in place. Her phone slipped from her hand when the inverter buzzed louder. "Are you insane?" she shouted, panic cutting through her voice for the first time. I tilted my head, calm as ever. "No, just tired of freeloaders." And as the hum grew sharper, she realized this wasn't going to be like every other neighbor she bullied. Karen's smug mask finally cracked. She started pounding the side of her Tesla like that would somehow stop the surge. "You're destroying my car! I'll sue you for everything you own!" she screamed, voice breaking. I walked down the steps slowly, each step echoing like a warning. Sue me? On my land? Using my power? Go ahead. I've got the whole thing recorded. Her head jerked up. "Recorded?" I pointed toward the corner of my roof where the little black dome of a security cam blinked red. "Every time you plugged in, every time you trespassed, every time you threatened me with your fake HOA, it's all saved. City officials will love it." Her face went pale. She lunged for the plug again, desperate, but the connector sparked just enough to make her jump back, clutching her hand. She was trembling now, but still tried to bark orders. "Unplug it, now! Do it or I'll call the police!" I smirked. "Please do.
I'd love to see their faces when I show them you've been stealing power from a federal grid installation. She froze, blinking fast like the words didn't process. Federal? That was the first time she realized she wasn't up against a helpless neighbor. She was up against someone she never should have messed with.
Karen staggered back, her bravado slipping like sand through her fingers. "You're lying," she spat, though her voice cracked. "There's no way you're just some handyman with cheap panels on his roof." I let the silence hang, then pulled a small badge from my pocket and held it up just long enough for her to see the seal. Her knees almost buckled. "Your government?" she whispered. I tucked it away calmly. Energy division. These panels aren't just home solar, they're part of a pilot program tied directly to the state grid. You've been siphoning off federal property every time you charged for free. Her mouth opened and closed, no words coming out. The confidence she carried yesterday was gone, replaced by raw panic. You can't arrest me! I'm in the HOA! I make the rules here!" That was the final straw. I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only she could hear. "Karen, there is no HOA. You made that up to bully people. But impersonating an authority? That's a crime too." She took a step back, but her Tesla door was still locked by the charging sequence, trapping her between me and the car. She was cornered, and for the first time, she knew it.
Her eyes darted around like a trapped animal, searching for an escape, but the street was already filling with curious neighbors. They had heard the yelling, seen the sparks, and now phones were out, cameras rolling. One man shouted, "Karen, are you stealing his power again?" Another laughed, "Caught in 4K this time." Karen's face flushed bright red. She spun toward them, screaming, "Mind your business! This is HOA property! I'm in charge here!" But the crowd only booed, some even clapping sarcastically. A woman from across the street called out, "There is no HOA, Karen! You've been scamming everyone!" The words hit like a hammer. She tried to shout over them, but her voice cracked under the weight of jeers. I stepped forward, calm and collected, lifting my phone. "For the record, Karen, this video is going to the police and the city council. You'll have a lot of explaining to do." She lunged toward me, trying to snatch my phone, but the charging cable snapped with a loud pop, and her Tesla alarm blared like a siren. Everyone gasped, and the cameras caught her frozen in the glow of flashing hazard lights. For the first time, she wasn't the one controlling the story. She was the spectacle, and she knew it. Karen's screams were drowned out by the wail of her own Tesla alarm, echoing down the block like a spotlight on her shame. The neighbors didn't back her up this time. They backed me. One man stepped closer, shaking his head. "Karen, you've bullied this street long enough. Time you face the law." I dialed a number on my phone, letting the crowd see. Within minutes, a black and white cruiser pulled up, lights spinning. 2 real officers got out, and Karen's face drained of all color. "Finally," she shrieked, running to them. "Arrest him! He's sabotaging my car! He's threatening me!" The officers glanced at me. I held up the folder I had prepared. Printed city permits, property deeds, and a USB loaded with security footage. "Actually, officers, she's been trespassing and stealing electricity from a federally monitored grid. Every second is recorded. And she's been impersonating an HOA to harass this neighborhood." The taller officer turned to Karen. "Is that true, ma'am?" Her lips trembled, but before she could spin another lie, the crowd started shouting. "She faked fines! She tried to shut down my backyard party! She stole my power too!" It was over. The officer cuffed her as she thrashed and screamed, "You can't do this! I am the HOA!" The irony made half the crowd laugh out loud. I just folded my arms, calm at last.
As the cruiser door slammed shut behind her, the street fell quiet except for the hum of my solar grid still running strong. The neighbors gathered around, some patting me on the back, others shaking their heads in relief. One older man said softly, "We finally got our peace back, thanks to you." I looked across the row of houses at families who had lived under Karen's shadow for too long and felt the weight lift from all of us. "She thought she owned this street," I said, "but in America, nobody takes your home, your land, or your freedom unless you let them." The officer handed me back my folder. "Good work documenting everything. People like her only win when no one stands up." I nodded, eyes drifting to the flag that waved above my porch, catching the evening light. I wasn't just protecting my solar panels, I was protecting what I had built with my own hands, the roof over my family's head, and the rights every American should hold sacred. Watching the cruiser disappear, I took a long breath. "She thought she could drain my power," I said quietly, almost to myself. "Turns out, I was the one who cut hers off for good." The crowd chuckled, and one by one, they returned home with smiles, free at last from the fake HOA queen who had finally been exposed.